My dad broke into my apartment and shouted, "Either you give me the money or I'll take it by force." So I calmly called the police and his face turned pale, and then my dad stood in my doorway, his face red with rage. His voice blasted through my apartment. "Either you give me the money or I will take it by force." I didn't flinch. I just pulled my cell phone out of my pocket and dialed. As soon as I said the words, "I'm calling the police," I saw the color drain from his face. He wasn't expecting that. He thought I'd back down, that I'd be scared, that I'd cave like I always did when it came to my brother, Ethan. But this time I was done. "Are you out of your mind?" he hissed, stepping forward and lowering his voice, but his eyes were still wild. I didn't answer. I held the phone to my ear, waiting for the operator to pick up. His hands clenched into fists, but he hesitated. I could see the wheels in his head turning. He was in his 60s, not in great shape, and he knew that if he laid a hand on me, he'd be the one in trouble. The reality of the situation was sinking in. "Forget it," he spat and backed away. "You're making a big mistake." I followed him to the door and closed it the moment he stepped out. I knew this wasn't over. This had all started because of Ethan. For years I had supported him, an unemployed alcoholic who refused to get a real job. Every time he ran out of money, he had an excuse. Rent was due, bills were piling up, his wife Lisa needed something, their son needed something. It never stopped. And each time, I gave in. I thought I would finally be free of it when I decided to help them buy a house. $70,000 in cash. A ridiculous amount of money, but I was tired. I thought if I helped them get their own place, they wouldn't need me anymore. I never expected to get the money back, but I saw it as a way to finally cut the cord. The problem was that Ethan never told our parents about the money. And I never would have found out what he was really planning to do with it if it wasn't for his son, Jake. Jake called me out of the blue, something he never did before. I could tell he was nervous. He said, "Uncle Oscar, you need to come get the money. I heard them talking. They're not buying a house. They're going to the casino." At first I thought he was exaggerating. But then he told me exactly what he had heard. Lisa had laughed and said, "Why waste it on a house? We can double it in one night." Ethan agreed, confident that he could win big. That was all I needed to hear. I went to their apartment the next day. I didn't call. I didn't warn them. I just showed up, walked in, and took back every last cent. Ethan screamed, Lisa cried, but I didn't care. I was done. I left and took my money with me. And Ethan? He said nothing to our parents. He was too ashamed. That was 2 weeks ago. Now their lease was almost up and they had nowhere to go. My parents expected them to move in with them, which neither of them wanted. Ethan smelled bad, he was always asking for money, and my dad had made it clear he didn't want him in his house. But that all changed when he found out about the money. Suddenly I was the bad guy. I had stolen from my own brother. I had ruined his future. And now my father was in my apartment trying to force me to give it back. But I wouldn't back down. And that was just the beginning. I thought that after my father stormed out, things would calm down. Maybe he'd go home, cool off, and realize how crazy he sounded. But I underestimated how deep this insanity ran. The next morning, my phone started to explode. Missed calls from my mother, a few from Ethan, even Lisa had tried to reach me. I ignored them all. Then a text from my mom. "We need to talk. It's urgent." I sighed and called her back. "Oscar," she said immediately. "What have you done?" I rubbed my forehead. "What are you talking about? Your father could have had a heart attack last night. He came home shaking and said you called the police on him." I rolled my eyes. "I didn't even finish dialing. He left before I had a chance." "That's not the point," she snapped. "You humiliated him." Oh, so that was the real point. My father didn't like being treated like a thug who broke into his own son's house. Before I could respond, she dropped the bombshell. "Ethan and Lisa are suing you." I almost laughed. For what? For stealing. They say you stole $70,000 from them. I froze. This was a whole new level of crazy. They never even told you about the money, I said. How are they going to explain where it came from? Lisa's uncle is a lawyer, she said. They say the money was a loan from him, that you broke in and stole it. I sat down. This was beyond stupid. But the problem was, I knew Ethan well enough to know he would go through with it. He was desperate. He didn't care how ridiculous the story was. I needed proof. And then I remembered Jake. I hung up on my mother mid-sentence and called my nephew. He picked up right away. Uncle Oscar, I tried to warn you, he said. I need you to tell me everything you heard, I said. Every detail. Jake hesitated. I don't know if I should. My dad's really pissed. He wants to sue me for stealing the money, I said. The money I gave him. Silence. Then, finally, Jake spoke. Okay. I'll tell you everything. And what he told me changed everything. Ethan and Lisa weren't just planning to take the money to the casino. They had already set up a system. A guy, a shady friend of Lisa's, was going to help them invest it. He claimed to have an inside connection that would guarantee a win. They were convinced they could turn $70,000 into $500,000 overnight. But there was more. Jake had overheard a conversation between Lisa and my dad. She had told him the plan. And he didn't stop her. He knew. And now that everything had fallen apart, he was trying to put the blame on me. I hung up and sat there for a long time. This wasn't just about Ethan anymore. My father was in on it. That explained why he came to my apartment foaming at the mouth. He wasn't just trying to defend Ethan. He was trying to protect himself. But now I had something he didn't know about. Jake. And I was going to use him. I wasn't going to let Ethan and Lisa drag me into some ridiculous lawsuit. And now that I knew my father had been involved in their casino scheme, I had even more reason to fight back. But I needed proof. I called Jake again. Would you be willing to say what you heard if this goes to trial? There was a long pause. I don't know, Uncle Oscar. If I do, they'll throw me out. This hit me harder than I expected. He still lived with them, depended on them. If he testified against his own parents, he'd have nowhere to go. I won't let that happen, I said. But you have to trust me. Can you meet me somewhere? Just to talk? He hesitated, but finally agreed. We picked a diner out of town where no one would see us. Jake looked nervous and kept looking over his shoulder. I told them I was meeting a friend, he said. You did the right thing by telling me, I said. But I need proof. He slid his cell phone across the table. I recorded them. I stared at him. You did what? He shrugged. I knew no one would believe me without proof. I played the recording. Lisa's voice was the first I heard. All we need is one good night. 70 grand turns into $500,000 and we're set for life. Ethan scoffed. Oscar won't find out. And if he does, who cares? What's he gonna do? Call the cops? Then my father's voice. Just don't be stupid. If you lose, it's on you. I'm not bailing you out. I stopped the recording. I had them. All of them. You just saved me, I said to Jake. But you also just put yourself in a dangerous situation. They can't know you gave this to me. He nodded. I just want out. I don't want to be around them anymore. That gave me an idea. How would you like to stay with me for a while? I asked. His eyes widened. You mean it? Yeah, I said. When this thing blows up, you're going to need a place to go. And I have a feeling things are going to get ugly. Jake agreed, and we made a plan. He'd pack a bag and come over the next night while his parents were out. But before that could happen, something unexpected threw everything into chaos. The next morning I woke up to another phone call from my mom. Her voice was shaking. Oscar, something happened. Ethan's in the hospital. I sat up. What? He was mugged last night. He's in bad shape. My stomach dropped. Ethan was an alcoholic, a mess, but he wasn't the type to get into fights. Jumped by who? I asked. We don't know, she said. Lisa said he went to meet someone, and when he came back, he was beaten up. They took his wallet, his phone, everything. Something about that didn't sit right with me. Where was he? She hesitated. Near the casino. Of course. I hung up and got dressed. I had a bad feeling. I went straight to the hospital. When I walked into Ethan's room, Lisa was already there, her eyes red from crying. My dad was standing in the corner with his arms crossed. Ethan's face looked like hell, his lip was swollen, and one eye was completely closed. Lisa saw me and her expression changed instantly. This is your fault, she snapped. I sighed. How is it my fault? If you had just given him the money back, he wouldn't have. She stopped herself. Wouldn't have what? I pressed. She looked away. And then it clicked. Ethan hadn't been mugged. He owed someone money. And they were coming to collect. My father knew, too. I could see it in his face, the way he avoided looking at me. I turned to Ethan. Who did you owe? He mumbled something, but I couldn't make it out. Lisa grabbed my arm. You need to give it back, Oscar. These people. She lowered her voice. They're dangerous. I pulled my arm away. No. Her face twisted in anger. Then you might as well have put him in that hospital yourself. I didn't answer. I turned and walked out. When I reached the elevator, my phone buzzed. A text from Jake. Change of plans. I think they know I talked to you. I have to get out of here now. I was about to reply when another message popped up. This time it wasn't from Jake. It was from an unknown number. You have something that belongs to us. If you want your brother to live, you'll give it back. I stared at the text. You have something that belongs to us. If you want your brother to live, you'll give it back. My first instinct was that this was a bluff. But what if it wasn't? What if Ethan had really gotten mixed up with some dangerous people? I called Jake immediately. Where are you? I'm at a friend's house, he said. I left before they got home. But Uncle Oscar, something's wrong. My mom and dad are acting weird. Like they're scared, but not in a normal way. I think they know I talked to you. Stay where you are, I said. I'll come get you soon. I hung up and went straight back to the hospital. I wasn't about to hand over $70,000 just because of a vague text message. If Ethan was really in danger, I needed to hear it from him. When I walked into his room, Lisa and my dad immediately stopped talking. Ethan was awake now, but he looked groggy. His face was puffy, but something about him seemed off. I pulled out my phone. I got a message, I said. Someone wants me to return the money if I want you to stay alive. Lisa's face contorted in fake shock. Oh my God, they really texted you? She was a bad liar. My dad shifted uncomfortably in the corner. I turned to Ethan. Who did this to you? He blinked slowly, then mumbled. I don't know, just some guys. Lisa jumped in. They said they were coming after all of us. You have to give them the money, Oscar. I crossed my arms. Who is they? Lisa opened her mouth, then shut it. My father looked away. And then it hit me. There was no they. This was a trap. I took a deep breath and looked straight at Ethan. Did you even get set up? Silence. Lisa spoke up quickly. Of course he did. Look at him. I ignored her. Ethan, tell me the truth. Did you owe someone money, or did you just stage this whole thing to scare me? He wouldn't meet my eyes. My father exhaled loudly. What does it matter? If people think he owes money, he's in danger. That confirmed it. I turned to Lisa. Did you send the text? She hesitated a second too long. No. I smiled. I never said it was from a number you knew. Her face went pale. There it was. It was all fake. The hospitalization. The dramatic threats. The mysterious text. They were trying to scare me into returning the money. You people are unbelievable, I said, shaking my head. Lisa's face turned red. You don't understand, Oscar. We needed that money. You were just going to waste it sitting in your account anyway. I laughed. Actually laughed. Do you hear yourself? I asked. You staged an entire attack just to trick me? That's pathetic. Ethan finally looked up. Oscar, please. No, I said. I'm done. Lisa panicked now. Wait. Just listen. I didn't. I turned and left the room. I blocked Lisa's number. Then my dad's. Then Ethan's. I called Jake. You still want to stay with me? Yes, he said immediately. I drove to pick him up, leaving my so-called family behind for good. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. I didn't go straight to pick up Jake. I needed a moment to take it all in. My own brother, my father, and Lisa had orchestrated the whole thing just to squeeze more money out of me. The worst part? They thought I was stupid enough to fall for it. I drove around for a while, letting the anger settle into something colder. Something final. This wasn't just another fight. This wasn't something we'd get over. This was it. I stopped at a gas station and checked my phone. 3 missed calls from my mom. A bunch of unread texts from Lisa, each one more desperate than the last. I ignored them all and called Jake. You ready? I asked. Yeah, he said. But Uncle Oscar, something's going on. My mom and dad just left the house in a hurry. They were arguing about you. My dad said something about one last shot. I tightened my grip on the wheel. Did they say where they were going? No, but they were angry. My mom kept saying you owe them a conversation. I sighed. I already knew where this was going. Sit tight, Jake. I'm coming to get you. By the time I got to Jake's, he was already outside with a backpack. Are you sure? I asked. He nodded. I can't do this anymore. They lie about everything. I don't want to turn into them. I respected that. He got in the car and we drove away. I was barely 5 minutes down the road when my mother called again. This time I answered. Where are you? She demanded. Driving. Where? I didn't answer. Oscar, your father's looking for you. Let him look, I said. I have nothing to tell him. He just wants to talk, she said, but I could hear the tension in her voice. She was lying. I was about to hang up when Jake nudged me. I think I know where they went. I followed his gaze. There, parked in front of a diner, was my father's car. And sitting inside the diner, looking right at us, were my father and Lisa. They had been waiting for me. I sighed. All right. Let's get this over with. I pulled into the parking lot, parked, and got out. Jake hesitated, but I nodded for him to follow. Inside, my father and Lisa were already sitting in a booth. They looked up when I approached. Lisa spoke first. Oscar, just hear us out. I sat down across from them. You have 2 minutes. Lisa looked at my father, then back at me. We screwed up. But it doesn't have to be the end of the family. We can fix this. We just need money? I interrupted. She flinched. My father leaned forward. Listen, son. We're family. You don't turn your back on family. Ethan made mistakes, but this isn't about Ethan, I said. This is about you. You knew what they were doing. You were part of it. And when it didn't work, you tried to intimidate me. That's not family. That's blackmail. Lisa's voice wavered. We were desperate, Oscar. We thought that I'd be stupid enough to fall for it. Silence. I pushed my chair back and stood up. I'm done. You can keep lying to each other, but I'm out. Lisa started to cry, but I felt nothing. My dad just stared at me like he couldn't believe I was really leaving. I turned and left. Jake followed me out the door without looking back. As we drove away, he took a deep breath. So that's it? I nodded. Yeah, that's it. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Jake and I drove in silence for a while. I could tell that he was still processing everything. So was I. It's not easy to leave your family, even when it's the right thing to do. We stopped at a diner on the other side of town to get something to eat. I could feel the weight lifting off my shoulders, but there was still one loose end to tie up. Jake, I said, are you sure you want to stay with me? This is a big decision. He nodded immediately. I've never been more sure about anything. I don't want to go back to them. Ever. I believed him. But I had to make it official. I'll help you get a job, I said. And if you want to go to college or learn a trade, I'll support that too. But I'm not going to hand out money like I did with your dad. You have to work for what you want. I wouldn't expect anything less, he said. I smiled for the first time in days. But then my phone buzzed. I looked at it, expecting another desperate message from Lisa or my father. But it wasn't. It was from a number I didn't recognize. I have something that belongs to you. If you want it back, meet me in the park near 3rd Street. Alone. My stomach dropped. I think someone wants to rob you, Jake said, reading over my shoulder. Or they're bluffing. Jake frowned. What do you think they have? I had no idea. But I had a feeling I had to find out. I told Jake to stay put and drove to the park. The sun was setting and the place was almost empty. I parked the car and walked over to the benches. A man was waiting for me. Late 40s, scruffy beard, leather jacket. I didn't recognize him. Are you Oscar? He asked. Yes. Who are you? He grinned and pulled something out of his jacket. A small brown envelope. He tossed it on the bench between us. Your brother wanted me to keep this, he said. Told me if anything went wrong, you'd come looking for it. I stared at the envelope. What's in it? See for yourself. I opened it. Inside was a folded piece of paper. It was a receipt. From the casino. A cash withdrawal slip. $70,000. My mind raced. If this was real, it meant Ethan had already lost all that money. I looked up at the man. Why are you giving me this? Because your brother owes a lot of people, he said. And you're the only one left in the family with any money. I laughed. A deep, bitter laugh. Well, they'll have to get in line because I'm done paying for him. The man raised an eyebrow, then shrugged. Suit yourself. But don't say I didn't warn you. I took the receipt and walked out. Back at my place, I showed Jake the receipt. His face went pale. So you never planned on buying a house at all? No, I said. They took the money straight to the casino and lost it all. Jake shook his head. And they still tried to scam you after that? What was their plan? To keep lying until you gave them another 70 grand? Looks like it. He was silent for a moment. I don't know if I'll ever understand how they think. I sighed. You don't have to. Just don't end up like them. That night, I blocked every single number associated with them. My dad, my mom, Ethan, Lisa. I was done. For the first time in years, I wasn't going to spend another dime supporting people who only saw me as a bank. Jake and I started over. He got a job at a local auto body shop and started taking classes to become a technician. He was smart, hardworking. Everything his father wasn't. As for Ethan, Lisa, and my dad, I don't know what happened to them. I never looked back. And I never will. Update. Months passed. Life without Ethan, Lisa, and my dad was peaceful. Jake was doing well, he had a steady job, was saving money, and was even talking about moving into his own place soon. Then, out of nowhere, a strange thing happened. One day, Jake came home from work looking worried. You're not going to believe who showed up at work today, he said. I already had a bad feeling. Let me guess. Ethan? He shook his head. Lisa. That caught me off guard. Lisa? What did she want? Jake sighed. She acted like nothing ever happened. Just walked in casually, like we were long-lost friends. Asked how I was, said she missed me, blah blah blah. I frowned. And then what? Then she started talking about you. About how families should forgive each other, and how Ethan was struggling. And then dash. He scoffed. She tried to give me a letter to give to you. I laughed. Please tell me you didn't take it. He pulled an envelope from his pocket and tossed it on the table. I stared at it. Jake. Relax, he said. I didn't promise to give it to you. I just wanted to see what new scam they're up to. I sighed and picked it up. It wasn't even sealed. Lisa was so desperate that she didn't even try to hide what was inside. I pulled out the letter and began to read. Oscar, we need to talk. I know things ended badly, but Ethan is in a really bad place. He's made some mistakes, but he's still your brother. I'm asking you to meet with us just once. No tricks, no lies. Just a conversation. We're at the Sunset Motel, room 107. Please come. Lisa. I rolled my eyes and tossed them aside. Yeah, that's a hard no. Jake nodded. I figured. But I wanted you to see it. We didn't talk about it again. A few days later, I drove by the Sunset Motel out of curiosity. Room 107 had the shades open. Inside, sitting on the bed, looking miserable? Ethan. Next to him? My father. I shook my head and drove on. Whatever game they were playing, I wasn't interested. And I never heard from them again.